No, we ain't giving no hold. I ain't Romeo and no hold.
All right, welcome in. We've got a little Michigan basketball postgame following the Wolverines' trip down Tobacco Road to take on North Carolina in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. I am Dennis Fithian. I'm joined by Jim Scarcelli. You can see him there on the video as we're ready to talk about this game. Scar, you know what? I think everybody knows, we don't have great news to report here. 72-51, the final. Michigan with their most lopsided loss of the year. They lost by 18 in Vegas to Arizona in that championship game. But, it was only a 2-point game at the half. There had been some time off, a little Thanksgiving break here. I think a lot of people were hoping that Michigan was going to be able to get some rest, get some practice, and come out and put their best foot forward in this game. But that didn't seem to happen. What did you see out there?
Yeah, the first half was like, wow, okay, maybe we can compete because we were scoring points. We were moving the ball. I mean, Diabate was going, and the offense was looking really good. Houston made some threes. What was interesting, they started Diabate. I think he's basically told Brandon Johns, look, we've given you 5-6 games. The way Diabate played tonight, I bet you he hangs on to that position. But anyway, there was some the first half was optimistic, and then the second half we got back into the struggle scoring the basketball. But it's a frustrating deal because that's not a great North Carolina team. That was a very average North Carolina team.
Yeah, I look at it, you get 6 freshmen in a transfer, and, last year Michigan struck gold with the 2 transfers that they brought in, Mike Smith and Sean D. Brown. I mean, those guys were just what, you order up, Smith running the team, Sean D. coming in as a 6 man. I mean, it was perfect. And, and sometimes, you see this with freshmen, you see it in basketball. I've seen it with Kentucky over the years. Kentucky brings in, this class of all McDonald's All-Americans, and sometimes they go out there and you can just see the talent's fantastic, and, they hit the ground running. And, other times it takes them a while, and, sometimes, it takes more than one season. So I thought that, Michigan was, they were going to be a lot better. But I think as I sit here right now, I think a lot of people, are going to adjust, their expectations. And I think rightfully so right now, having watched this team. They don't have, I thought Seth Greenberg, I don't know if you watched the half or not, I thought he summed it up when he says Michigan just doesn't have shot makers. And, that rang true to me. Eli Brooks, he can get you a shot from downtown, but, they need guys that can pour it in. And there were times when they would run their offense like they were just running it just to run it. Like they're not trying to score or get anybody free. They're kind of just passing it around, and then somebody would, make a one-on-one move. And that's not going to work. You can just see they lack confidence that way. So I don't know. Where do you think they go from here?
No, he's absolutely right. I mean, I think the coaching staff looked at the team and said, okay, we're going to recruit, certain freshmen, but we're going to count. They were counting on Brandon Johns to be a scorer. They were counting on Terrence Williams to be a scorer. And that's just not happening. So, you got to predict. You got to predict how well your guys are going to do. And there was really no reason to believe that based on what those 2 guys have done in the past. I mean, they're good, physical, athletic kids. They play good defense. They might give you limited scoring, but I think that was an overestimation to think those guys were going to give us the kind of scoring we needed, and now we're to the point where it looks like Houston is the second 3-point shooter we have. We know we got Brooks, and in Houston I think he's going to keep getting better. And I tell you what I'm seeing it too, Danny, is I think Hunter is getting frustrated. I think it's affecting his whole game. That he gets the ball and he just gets swamped. No one is going to let Hunter Dickinson beat you. They're going to let Brandon Johns beat you. They're going to let Terrence Williams beat you. They're going to let you kick it out to Diabate, but they are not going to let Hunter breathe. And that's what we're seeing. So I think he's getting frustrated. I think he's making a lot of some fouls out there. But But even Dickie V was saying we got to keep trying to get it down to Hunter, because I think even when we do at least try to get it down there, they do commit, and he can kick it out and make some things happen. But they did some good things with Diabate and Hunter in the game. There are some things that we can do offensively, but in general, if I'm coaching that team, I'm going to focus on defense. I'm going to focus on trying to create turnovers on defense, and then offensively, not turn the ball over. Try to get the fast break game going, because that doesn't take shooting. Defense doesn't take shooting. Rebound, don't give them second shots. Let's try to create turnovers, get the ball up the floor. Let's try to get layups. And then, if they stop us and get us in the half-court game, then we got to, hope we can get some people that can score.
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing right now, Mr. Scarcelli. When it comes down to Juwan Howard and this team right now, they really got to go back to the drawing board, baby. Yeah, you're right. What Dickie V had to say tonight. It was nice to see him back in there. But people want to know why. This team is in the situation they are. You've talked about it. Like, you would expect Brandon Johns. Like, the guy had 14 points when he came into the tournament against Florida State. I know I've said that a few times already here this year, but he was a bright spot in that game. And you hope when you're a coach, especially when you have a senior, that he's going to elevate his game. And instead of elevating it, and he hasn't even stayed the same. He's been disappointing to what you would expect you were going to get from Brandon Johns. Him coming in as a senior. Terrence Williams, I think you could say the same thing. The guys you mentioned, and then Devontae Jones. He was the Player of the Year in the Sun Belt. And, Mike Smith was, 5'10". People were saying, like, this is what I didn't see him play. But people were saying this time of practice, like, hey, he's going to fit right in and he's going to be better than Mike Smith. And, he hasn't scored. Did he even score a bucket here tonight? He did end up with 4, but he was 0 for in the first half. He's in some of these games, he's getting into early foul trouble. He doesn't look like, he passes the ball. He throws it with authority, but he's leaving his feet sometimes. He's picking up fouls, and he has not been the shooter. Like, he had to score a little bit. I think that's an issue where, you're expecting a lot more from Devontae Jones, and he's been significantly, underperformed from at least what, I was expecting. So, there's 3 guys. You mentioned Hunter Dickinson. You can't say that Hunter Dickinson's met his expectation there. There's 4. Besides Eli Brooks and Musa Diabate, and the freshmen are going to be up and down. It's not like I'm giving up on Caleb Houston, but it's not like Caleb Houston came in and just started knocking down jumpers left and right after the first couple games. He went into a spot where he was struggling a little bit. So, you can't say that, well, Frankie Collins, some of these freshmen, it is going to take time. But I'll talk about the returning players and what you were hoping to get, and you've mentioned him there. And I don't know if there's, a Zeb Jackson who could have been a buffer if it was going to take a while, if it wasn't going to work, or whatever it was going to be with Devontae Jones after Frankie Collins. You thought you had Zeb Jackson, and he's been sick and trying to ramp back up to get out there. So an illness has sidelined him. That was another returning player. You can't say that he's under. He just hasn't been available. So almost down the list of the players here that haven't been able to give him anything. We didn't see Kobe Buffkin tonight, so Juwan's playing around with the roster a little bit here in the minutes. But they need guys that can make shots. And right now, I don't. Besides Brooks, they don't have a whole lot to lean on. They're hoping that Caleb Houston could just bust forward and emerge.
Yeah. They got to find ways to generate offense, and it's tough. And I'll say this, Danny, also, I think in defense of Jones, it's tough for a guard to penetrate, to do anything when the middle is so clogged. The middle of our is so clogged because we don't have the perimeter threats. It's to compare what he's dealing with compared to what Mike Smith had. Mike Smith could kick it. There were 2-3 shooters always at the perimeter.
All shooters.
Yeah, which opens up the lane for penetration. So Michigan is going to have to keep people under 62 points. Really, that's what we get people scoring above that. We're going to have trouble to score with them. So,
and it's they're not going to. Sorry to cut you off. I don't think they're going to. The recipe is, hey, let's shoot more threes. They just don't have guys that are able to knock them down. So, football went old school and just said, they're going to run the ball. Maybe Michigan needs to be a low post scoring team. Like, just look to get the ball, download Hunter Dickinson and Moussa Diabate, and then, play off of that. And maybe that's how they start and go from there. They've got Brooks, they got Dickinson, they've got Diabate, they got Caleb Houston maybe. And then, from there, I don't know. We can see, like, it's not like they're going to be home on Saturday. They've got a game here, pretty quick turnaround. They just need wins now. I think when you get off to this kind of start, they played 7 games and they're 4-3 here. They need to start posting some W's after they play San Diego State. They've got 2 Big Ten teams. Luckily, it's not somebody like Purdue or Michigan State or Maryland or Illinois or somebody like that.
I tell you, Danny, I just watched Nebraska. They're no joke. They're much better. They lost in 4 overtimes. So they are a better team. San Diego State will be every bit as good as North Carolina. And they're coming to Ann Arbor. They're going to be good. But I tell you, there were some good things out of that game. And I'll tell you, I'm going to say this right now. Moussa Diabate, he won't lose his starting spot. I think it was obvious today. So the one good thing about tonight, and I think you saw the Juwan Howard effect, he's really has a nice little low post game. He looked like big country out there with some of his moves. Austin Davis, right, from last year.
Yeah, Austin Davis, big country.
Yeah, he had some. I thought Moussa showed some really nice moves down there. He made 2 10, 12-foot fadeaways. He made a 3-point shot. He is a guy that is he's going to hang on to that starting spot. That was the one optimistic thing we can point to because he's going to do nothing but get better. But again, Brooks was solid. He gives you what he's going to give you. He's always going to be solid. I think Hunter, I've seen it the last 2 games now. I think he's getting frustrated.
Yes.
He's getting so much attention. I mean, we saw it against Tarleton State too. He was getting swamped and he got frustrated. And the coaches just got to continue to try to find ways to generate offense.
Yeah, and we'll just get to some closer remarks. I mean, we can go down the roster there if there's anything else that you saw there. But for me, and I don't look at this as a positive. Like, so when they went to Vegas and got blown out by 18, I was like, all right, people, you don't have to worry about people talking about you being one of the top teams in the country. You see if you can hang on to be even in the top 25. Now they're going to be out of the top 25. They were ranked 24 coming in today, so now they're not a top 25 team. Now people are going to say, hey, they're not the Big Ten favorites. So all of the things, if there was any pressure about, winning the Big Ten or, being one of the top teams in the country, well, we know that's out the window. So right now can these guys, people are not going to believe in them. The fans are still, it's not like, people are going to completely abandon them or anything else. People still like this team and they'll be behind them. But I think people will readjust their expectations and say, hey, now let's just see what can happen here. And I think if, you just told me right now that this team could just make the tournament, I would take that. Like, talking about winning the Big Ten, like all of those things after watching them, we've seen them play 7 games. I'm talking about some dramatic turnaround now. I don't see that. So getting in and getting in the Big Ten and trying to make the tournament, to me, that sounds like a positive right now.
It's not going to be an easy task because you got to go 500 in the Big Ten. They're going to have to go 500 in the Big Ten, and right now, I don't know. I don't know that I could say that. We got to play Purdue twice. We got to play Michigan State twice. Purdue's probably the best team in the country. So but
yeah, to your point, they play Iowa, Ohio State, Illinois, Purdue, Michigan State, and Rutgers twice.
Rutgers is very average, but we look to win half those games. You're going to have to win half of them to make the tournament.
Yeah.
And Denny, it's we're going to have to lower our expectations. Juwan's got to keep that team together because there's going to be right now. What they're going through. This is when a coach is challenged. To keep the team focused, keep them playing as a team, not pointing fingers, and so he's gonna, that coaching staff is gonna continue to be challenged as they go through this tough period.
I'll tell you what, they're going to get a little bit of a break because of the football team. Like if Michigan was done playing until a bowl game, all the focus would have been on Michigan basketball, and people might have been gnashing their teeth a lot more. But now that you've got the Big Ten title game, and if Michigan wins that, all of the talk's going to be about Michigan football up to New Year's Day and maybe beyond that. If they win that game, so they get a little bit of a break there. I don't know if anybody else is hearing that, but it's a little bit of a break. Any final?
Anyway, Denny, I thought that two things I thought that were positives: Diabate offensively, and I saw better rotations defensively. We didn't give up so many easy baskets on poor communication defensively. There were some things on defense that were showing signs of improvement, but we've still got to find ways to score the basketball.
All right, 72-51. It was a 2-point game at the half. Michigan was down, and they end up losing it by 19. They fall to 4-3 on the year. San Diego State is coming in. What's that? The Aztecs coming in on Saturday at 1 o'clock. We'll be on after that game and talk about that. Hopefully, Michigan win. They can right the ship. Or else we'll be talking about a 500 team at that point. Scar, you'll join me on the afternoon live show tomorrow, right?
I'll be ready to roll. San Diego State is coached by Brian Dutcher, former Michigan assistant.
That's right. He was here when he was on the bench for the '89 team, so he was part of that championship coaching staff.
That's right. I think he was the lead recruiter to recruit Juwan. Him and Juwan have a real good relationship.
Nice. That's right. I think Jay Smith, who is on the Michigan staff too, he would have a connection with Dutcher as well. So there might be a lot of handshakes and hugs before the game there.
Yeah.
All right, Scar, we'll talk with you tomorrow. Thanks for your time here. Get some rest, and we'll see what they can do on Saturday. We'll talk with you tomorrow.
All right, brother. See you then. Go Blue.
Take care. Oh, let's hit the button. And let's try it again. There it is.